From its mysterious origins before the emergence of the Mughal Empire to its highly controversial acquisition by Queen Victoria, the Koh-i-Noor diamond has a blood-stained history associated with it, which makes it one of the most infamous relics of South Asia. But many of you might not even know the true story. No one's sure where the diamond came from, because the first time the diamond showed up in the historical record was in the 1740s, even though legend has it that it was discovered many centuries before that. As the story goes, the diamond was first discovered during the Kakatiya dynasty, who found the precious gemstone in one of their mines in modern-day Andhra Pradesh. They clearly saw it as a gem with spiritual powers, using it in a statue of one of their goddesses at a sacred temple. But pretty soon the Mughals came along, and that's where things start to get really mysterious. Cause according to the guy that founded the Mughal Empire, a guy by the name of Babur, there was a really famous diamond in the region, and it happened to get stolen from the Kakatiyas by none other than Alauddin Khilji, who was the ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Babur eventually got possession of the diamond, but the thing is, all of this is just pure speculation. There's no historical record to confirm whether or not it's true. So let's take a look at the earliest mentions of the diamond in recorded history.
The diamond came from India's alluvial mines thousands of years ago, sifted from the sand. According to Hindu belief, it was revered by God.
The diamond got its name during the invasion of Delhi. I know what some of you are wondering. Which invasion of Delhi are we talking about here? Cause it's not like the city wasn't a popular destination for marauding forces. But this time, we're talking specifically about the invasions conducted by Nadir Shah, the guy that overthrew the Persian Empire and then made his way deep into India. He eventually got to Delhi and sacked the city of all of its wealth, which happened to include a bunch of really massive diamonds. And when Nadir Shah got a glimpse of a particular diamond for the first time, he was shocked at its beauty, which led to him calling it the Mountain of Light. That translates to Koh-i-Noor in Persian. So it's pretty likely that the diamond had a completely different name before this invasion, or maybe it didn't have a name at all. Either way, Nadir now had the biggest diamond ever seen, but no one was able to hold on to it for very long. Nadir's grandson had to give it to the ruler of Afghanistan, Ahmad Shah Durrani, and Durrani's own grandson met a similar fate, escaping to Lahore when the Russians invaded. And once he got there, he basically sold the diamond to the ruler of Punjab, Ranjit Singh, with the cycle of ownership continuing until one fateful day, Queen Victoria conquered Punjab and the diamond. There was no way that the British Queen was going to pass up the chance to add the gemstone to her collection. So when the lands of Punjab were annexed by the British East India Company, she quickly made plans to have it shipped up to England. It almost got lost along the way, with the crew transporting the diamond falling ill a bunch of times. But as luck would have it, the diamond ended up in her possession at long last, and she made it a centerpiece of the crown jewels. To her credit, she didn't just make the jewel another addition to her fancy queen hat. Instead, she put it up for exhibition, but not before reshaping the diamond. So in a way, we've never even seen the diamond in its original form. Instead, we have to make do with the recut version that's still on public display at the Tower of London. And that's actually part of the problem, because there's a bunch of countries that feel like the diamond should be returned to them. India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan have all staked their claim, starting with India, which is where the diamond originated according to the legends. Not to mention, the Mughals ruled over modern-day India, and that might make their claim seem even more viable. However, India's just one of the many countries that feel like the diamond belongs to them. Pakistan is another nation that wants its due, because you have to remember, the diamond was in modern-day Lahore, a Pakistani city, when it was taken by the British. And then, of course, there's the third member of the party, namely Afghanistan. The Durranis were the last major rulers of that nation, and the Afghan people certainly have the right to make their own claim. Or, more precisely, the Afghani Taliban are quite obsessed with the gemstone. So what gives? It really seems like all three countries have their sights set on the diamond, and each one of them has provided a decent rationale for why it should be theirs. But there's an unfortunate reality that they might have to contend with. The British don't seem to want to let it go, and who could blame them? The late Queen Elizabeth wore the jewel in her actual crown when she was coronated back in 1937, making it a part of her personal collection ever since. Now, I can see why the old queen would want to look at some fancy jewels now and then, then. Who wouldn't? That might be why the British government has refused to even entertain the notion, with former Prime Minister David Cameron going so far as to say that they can't do it. According to Cameron, it might start a slippery slope, and there's no telling where it would end. He fears that the entire British Museum could end up empty if they agree to return the Koh-i-Noor, which actually says a lot more than he'd anticipated, cause the Koh-i-Noor represents the gruesome legacy of colonization. It's not like the Brits got it by asking for it nicely. They conquered a region through brute force and subterfuge, and even though they claim that the diamond was won fair and square, you can't blame their former colonies for wanting it back. What's more, it's not just about them wanting a fancy diamond for themselves. All of this controversy has a lot to do with what the Koh-i-Noor represents. It sits in the crown of a British monarch, so it's easy to see how it might glorify centuries of subjugation that the Indians experienced under British rule. The party of the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, certainly had a lot to say about it. Members of the BJP, Modi's party, claimed that the diamond should be removed from the crown, especially now that Queen Elizabeth has passed away. And as it turns out, they might actually get their wish this time around. The upcoming coronation of King Charles won't feature the Koh-i-Noor, which is actually a massive step forward by all accounts, because even though the British royal family and government have refused to return it, they're at least self-aware enough that they're not going to flaunt it during a coronation ceremony. That would be in poor taste, which is putting it mildly. There would have been a huge uproar, and that forced the royals to admit defeat, albeit a small one. So it looks like Camilla's not going to get to wear the Koh-i-Noor as queen consort, at least not for the coronation, and that is a very good sign. It shows that the royals aren't immune to the legacy of their ancestors, and it indicates that they might be softening their stance a bit. The crown is being readied for Camilla as we speak, but according to inside sources, it will be a much smaller crown because the entire nation is going through a cost of living crisis, and the coronation ceremony is being called ostentatious as it is.
The diamond with the longest history for an extant stone, though its early history is controversial. Originally a lumpy Mughal-cut stone that lacked fire and weighed 191 carats.
This, one of the world's largest cut diamonds. It's called the Koh-i-Noor, the Mountain of Light.
It was a token of wealth, so whoever possessed the Koh-i-Noor had that power.
What does this mean for the future of the Koh-i-Noor? There's no telling. But one thing's for sure, the jewel is a symbol of oppression, and its current owners will have to face up to that eventually. That was the true story of the Koh-i-Noor diamond.